Kennedy Podcast.
Sponsored by Dana Eagle, I think. KQED, please notice us. Anyone, please notice us. We need money.
Hello, and welcome back to the Kennedy Podcast. Today, as far as we're starting, it's going to be me, Hector, and hopefully we'll get Perez and Ishmael here and see where we go from there. But we have today our teacher guest our little teacher guest speaker, Miss Hernandez. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm okay. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, no problem. And you are the leadership teacher, the leadership U.S. history,
And college and career.
Got it. So, yeah, it's kind of like a lot of things. It's like most teachers have like their own one specialty. Some have history, some have math, or just purely this. But besides that, you're kind of just like one of the ones with varieties of like. Yeah, just that. How does it ever get stressful?
It does. I think, particularly because in previous years when I was here, since I've been here at Kennedy, I've taught different courses. No, kind of, right? The first year I taught U.S. history and one section of economics and government. And then the following year I taught U.S. history and 2 economic and government classes. And then the third year, I was it fluctuated, right? The number of courses that I was asked to teach. It depended on the number of enrollments that we had. And, we came to this year where I was teaching, or originally I was supposed to be teaching the leadership classes and U.S. government / economics. And then 2 days before school started, they were like, no, you're going to be teaching a U.S. history, a college and career class, and 2 leadership classes. And I was like, okay, fun, right? So it just feels like, and I've also taught a credit recovery course or study hall class too. So it's just kind of it feels like I've been filling in wherever there are needs. Yeah.
Well, on the topic of that, how did you get to how did you get to this very complicated place, that being Kennedy?
Well, Kennedy, it's amazing. Honestly, I've been reflecting a lot about when I disclose to new people that I'm a teacher, and then they're like, oh, where do you teach at? And then I'm like, oh, at Kennedy. And they're like, oh, how do you do that? I'm like, what do you mean, how do I do that? Right? I love it. It's I feel like once, yes, we have our there are systemic things, right? But once we come in and meet the students, meet the faculty, you really understand why we're here, right? And I think that that's something that I value a lot. I'm tired, I'm physically exhausted, but it has nothing to do with me not wanting to be here at school, right? Not wanting to show up and be here. Sometimes taking a day off is I don't want to take a day off. I want to be at work, right? It's just really hard to make those decisions to not come, because I love it. I feel alive. I feel oftentimes, we think about teaching as we're teaching students something. And for me is, yes, I am supposed to be teaching you. That's my job. And also, it's just how much you guys fill my cup too when it comes to being here every day, or when I'm supposed to be here, right? And the joy that it brings me here. So again, going back to your question, right? How did I come here and why do I stay here? Is because of students. How did I get to Kennedy? When I was doing my credentialing program, it's very interesting because I was commuting all the way to Stanford, right? And I was in my program, I was the outlier, right? I was the oldest one in my program. I was the only one with kids, and I was the only one commuting from far, right? I couldn't obviously move my children to a different school for just a year, right? That was never the end goal. So I had to commute a lot. I was originally placed at Berkeley High School. to do my teaching, my student teaching work, and it became very unbearable for me. Like I was not, even though Berkeley sounds very like close, the Bay Area traffic,
Yeah.
it takes you twice as much. So I was having a very difficult time because I was not. I was not seeing my kids at all, like 5 days a week, right? Like I had to leave the house early, like sometimes even before they woke up, and came home when they were asleep, right? Because I had to be at Berkeley at 8 a.m., how to find parking and all of that, right? So it was taking a big toll, like on me, like on top of going back to school, like after 10 years of being out of school, right? So it was just a lot. And I was considering dropping out of the program because I just couldn't. I couldn't handle. I couldn't just think about missing a whole year without my children, right? Like without being there, like being able to drop them off at school and whatnot. So I asked my advisors if they could find a closer school to my home where I could do my teaching, my student teaching work. And luckily, they were able to find an alum who was at the time an assistant principal here at Kennedy, and she was able to connect me to Mr. Vigil, who was my advisor, right? Like it was very interesting because the program was like, well, we usually want teachers who have been in teaching, advisors who have been teachers for a longer time, and Mr. Vigil had only been a teacher for a whole year. And then the idea was to have Mr. Vigil and another teacher be my advisors. The other teacher ended up leaving, and it was just Mr. Vigil and I. And I appreciate it, right? Because he became my advisor, and then I love the community, right? I loved working with the population that we work with. And once I graduated, a job opening for the social studies department became available. I applied and I got the job, and I stay here. So that's why I always say officially this is my 4th year at Kennedy. Unofficially it's my 5th because I was here for unofficially for a whole year, for almost a whole year. Yeah, sorry, I talk a lot.
It's okay, and it's kind of like what we're looking for. And it's always crazy stories, almost like it's either like, oh, you just came here, just out of nowhere, or sometimes there's always something that happened before. I mean, I think the biggest story we've gotten was from Mr. Mogi, which was it was dated back from being a child, the freaking electroconvulsive therapy. There's a lot of story for that, and I'm always curious what else there is, because I don't know, and also just in case any other student out there is curious, just putting these out there. Speaking of students, hello Ishmael. Not sure of how to introduce him here. He's kind of just our controversy guy, in case we want a second opinion on things. Yeah. So teacher cuts. That's I mean, at times I would understand it, but this time it's I understand it, but at the same time it's what the heck, Mm-hmm. And just recently I watched this little movie called Flamin' Hot. Same situation happened there. Economy went to shit, and they started cutting people out of their jobs, and I'm that seems familiar. And just how does it, I mean, I probably can guess how it would feel, but I'd like your piece on it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, quite frankly, it has taken a lot of time for me to process all of this, right? It's been quite literally, it has felt like a roller coaster, right? First finding out that there is quote unquote no more space for me here at Kennedy, right? There is just a feel of personal defeat, right? I feel I felt very deflated, and I felt very defeated because I was it's not about effort, and it's not about professionalism on my part, right? Like it's about like money and seniority, and like I understand that, right? Like there are teachers who have been here longer than I have, and like they deserve to stay, and it just like took me by like not by surprise, because like I had a feeling that this was gonna happen. Like it's a yearly thing where I'm like, I always have that constant fear of being cut because I'm relatively new here in the district. But it just felt like emotionally, like I felt really defeated. I felt very like, for a lack of a better word, like disposed of. Does that make sense? Like I felt like
they just got, they're like, okay, name, all right.
Exactly. Right. And then became like I became very angry. Right. Like I didn't know who to direct that anger towards you, because I know that this is like the district's faults and the management fault, because it just feels that they could have done better. Right. And when we were at the strike, it just like it felt like, why did we have to get to this point? And then it felt like a punishment, right? Me getting cut because like it felt like I am part of this movement to bring like the idea was to bring more resources to our school and like benefit our students, and it just felt like they gave us that and then they punished me. Like that's how I felt, right? Like they punished me because I was the one who was being asked to move on, right? Then it felt like, okay, things happen for a reason. Like if it's not for you, then move on. Right? And like and I was just like, again, thinking about me, right? Like how that impacted me. And then, like I thought about like, okay, if it's not for me, move on. But then I was like, no, this is wrong. Like, what can we do to advocate, right, for students? Because as I had mentioned earlier, right, in different classes, like I'm a professional and like somehow I'll manage to find something, right? Like, but what about the people who stay behind? What about the students who are coming in here in the future? What about the students who are still here, right? Like, what does that mean to you? And like, what is my role there? And that's when I was like, no, I've never gone to board meetings, and I started going to board meetings and speak, right? Like, I had to miss yesterday's meeting, and I felt like, I should have been there, right? Like, I am not like throwing down the towel. And I also like, there is also like need to continue with the advocacy. Like it feels very frustrating and very wrong that they're saying, okay, enrollment is declining. And it feels like, okay, we're just gonna put a Band-Aid on the bleed. Like it's like, big bleed, and they're just trying to put a Band-Aid and saying, okay, we're gonna make cuts, and not thinking about the consequences of that, right? Like when we have a problem, like any problem, any logical person would start thinking about the short-term solutions and the long-term solutions, right? So if we do have a decreased enrollment, analyze the why. Why is our enrollment decreasing, and analyze how we can turn that around, right? Because if they're treating this as a business, which it looks like they are many times, right? It's all about the money. Businessmen and women look at the problem, analyze the solution, and see what's causing that problem, and see how we can fix that particular problem, instead of just making cut, and see what happens next. Kind of like hoping for the best, right? Like, because then you're hurting humans. Real people, right? Whether it is with, their plans, right? And I was like legitimately, genuinely thinking about bringing my kids here with me to Kennedy, because that's how much I trust the teachers, that's how much I trust the students, in ensuring that my kids will feel welcomed, will feel connected, and will feel safe, right? And now I'm like, okay, what do we do? My kids are asking me, what are you gonna do now, right? They're worried and concerned about like what's coming up next. So I think like bottom line is, to your original question is like, what do I think? I think it's definitely harsh, right? To make this drastic cuts without having any planned in mind, and at least a plan that says this is what we're gonna do. Like, we're building a brand new building that is gonna cost us millions of dollars, and this is the plan that we have to ensure that we maximize that investment and we enroll as many students as possible. Yes, we're gonna go through some hardships, but this is the plan. And like, it feels like these decisions are made without that in mind, and that's why I'm like, if it feels very disrespectful, right, to dispose people like that without having an actual plan, let alone in place, like an actual plan that says this is what we're going to be doing, this is how we're going to be moving forward, like, to ensure that this doesn't happen again, at least, right? Like, that will make me feel maybe a little better, right? Even if I have to leave, I'm like, okay, so this is the plan. That's fine, it's okay. Let me go, and I'll be on my way. But at least ensure that you have a plan, and it doesn't seem like that's that. Like, it feels like people are just making decisions without any transparency, which again also brings in other concerns.
Yeah. And one of my like issues with how the district is doing things, like, I'm okay with their idea to want to like get rid of a school, like, depending on like if it's reasonable, like maybe it's not doing well, maybe there's a better place to go to, maybe they can be able to build something better. But they never they just do things worse in a school and say nothing. Even though we go talk to them, we go tell them, they're not, like, most of the times it never feels like they're paying attention. Like, even in one of the recent board meetings a few months back, I believe, you would have we went up there talking, and immediately superintendent not paying attention, and it's like, okay, then that's why that day I went up there and was like, hey, if you're trying to get rid of us, just tell us. Like, don't be like, oh no, we're gonna help, we're trying to help. Like, they don't even say they're trying to help. They're just like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever you say. That's what it usually feels like. And honestly, it's like, well, maybe don't be like that. Like, want to get rid of us, tell us. And whether or not we find it reasonable, or if you find a better solution for us, then please do that. Don't just, oh yeah, no, we're just gonna do this and that, done. And frankly, I feel like they are doing that, they're just not saying anything, trying to slowly worsen Kennedy. Because even for me, I'm I don't know, to some certain extent, I feel like there may be somewhat better places, but at the same time, how do I say this? I feel like none of us can really let go of Kennedy, because, most of us been here for a while, most of us have seen everything, had fun with everything, the whole community and everything. But I'm even this year alone, as memorable as it's gonna be, it mainly came from the stuff I was doing rather than the stuff everyone else was doing, in a way. And even now, it feels like not everyone's in the whole fight for for the whole like teacher cut and everything, because it's mainly the teachers that do everything, or it's mainly the students that do everything, to like make sure we don't lose Kennedy. And then, you know, you have some of our administration, which doesn't feel like they're doing anything, so it never feels like, you know, they're doing too much for us, because I feel like maybe it'd be better if they were to hear from like administrators and such, but then, you know, we have our principals who don't really do too much in order to help, from what I've seen. And like, that's even full eye for like leadership. It's like you know, I'm leading the whole, you know, administration appreciation day thing, and like I've only heard horror stories about like the principals and such. I haven't like heard anything too positive from like, I mean, I've heard like a couple things like here and there about the counselors, and like, you know, the attendance office, they're pretty chill about everything. Security's pretty chill about everything. Janitors are chill about everything mostly. But when it comes to like principals, they're like, it's either nothing or something bad. And honestly, it's like, it kind of sucks, because they're over here trying to like hype us up every day, you know, with the announcements. Even like my first day of school, like here as a senior, I'm just trying to like walk to class, and then all of a sudden I get stopped by our principal, who's like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing? How do you feel?" And I'm like, well, I'm gonna just say what I usually say. Oh, you know, just tired. Like, you know, I woke up early, you know, after a long summer. And she's like, "Oh, why are you tired? It's your last first day of school, and this and that. Like, you gotta feel like this and you gotta feel like that." And I'm like, I mean, you certainly don't make it feel that way. Like, I understand the effort, but at the same time, it's like, put your actions where your mouth is. Like, try to actually make things better instead of just like telling us everything is better. That's why, like, every time the announcements go up, like, I have this like, why go out of your way to do that when most of us aren't really like happy with the higher ups here. And I've even heard of this one small story. Won't really say like who and what, mainly because I don't want to put stuff out there. But someone came up to the principal, told them of a little like bad action that is like, okay, don't do that. Like, and I feel like people should have been called, parents should have been called. The principal kind of just, it is what it is, and moved on. And that was, when I heard that, that's when I was just like, yeah, no, there is like no way that like, that's our principal's mentality there. And yeah, that's, and seeing how she's just absent most of the time. I didn't even know her. Like, basically the first year she came, I had no clue about her. Like, I was like, oh, who's this principal? Like, I seen her around, but I never knew it was her until like end of the school year, basically. And even when the seniors graduated last year, her little speech that I think that speech is why she's more like upbeat now. That mainly because like in her graduation speech, like me and my mom even noticed when we were like watching it, because we live right next to the school. She was just like, she wasn't like, oh, you know, I'm so glad. Like, she wasn't like at least acting happy. She was just reading off the paper. I am so glad about every graduated student here, and I hope I don't know. That's where I feel like, I don't know. I really just don't really like the whole, well, not the whole, but a lot of the administration, basically, because it doesn't feel like there's much being done by them. But I'm still willing to make that poster for those that do deserve it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's even like a few small things with leadership. I have no like big issue with leadership or like most of it, but like I feel like because now we have 2 separate classes, it kind of just got worse, because we don't know everyone in the leadership team. I still don't. I know many, but not everyone. And like, I get it. It's like more time to prep stuff up, but at the end of the day, it always feels like I know there's no favoritism. There's only like, there's more time for this than that. But I feel like because of these two separate periods, there's some sort of hate and competition. Like fourth period feels like, oh, like, you know, we're not cared about that much, but then, you know, they're not, well, I wouldn't say they're all, but like seniors, like they're not putting all the effort, or there isn't like too much to do all the time. And then like seventh period, they're like, I feel like they're more out there, and that's not really like their fault. You know, that's a good thing. They're taking initiative. They're leading most of the things, and we are kind of just like stuck. Like,
I feel like it's like that. A lot of classes, like last year, I took like this theater class. Yeah, and it was just dead in there. Nobody in there like really did anything. It was like we did stuff like the first half of the year, but I feel like Porter just gave up like on the other half because like very few people were actually interested, and mostly were just hanging out. And like the other period, which I think was the one you were in, like all the people that were like actually interested in theater were in there, and like they were actually doing stuff.
and that's another like issue that I'm like seeing in this school specifically. There's not a lot of like student participation in a lot of things. There is to a certain extent, but like at the same time, it's like it's always the same group of like or groups of people. It's never like someone new. It's never everyone. It's always these small groups. And I feel like there's that more participating group in seventh period than there is in fourth period. And even with that theater class, I see why, because basically everyone that was in drama club at the time was in seventh period and not in eighth period.
Okay.
I think there was one person that was in eighth, but then they switched over to seventh. But yeah, and that's like the other thing. Like most of the leadership veterans were in seventh, so there's that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always feel like I mean, I'd say like it would have been better if it's like, you know, just one class or like something after school. But like I get the whole like needing the two classes, and you know there's no after school program here anymore. And that's kind of something I'm kind of iffed out about, because like I had some plans, like I'm like, oh, you know, I can figure out some things. I thought video game club, drama club's going to be funner this time. And you know, even though drama club started like 2 years ago, this is going to be my final year and the only year where we don't get to do a performance from like, I mean, especially now because we don't have any time. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking video game club. Even Ishmael was thinking like, like rock club. Yeah, like a little rock club, like after school, just see if who'd be interested.
The idea for that was basically getting like performing like at random events, like festivals and like parties like here, and like graduation and stuff. And I thought about starting it like this quarter, but it's like at this point, why should I do anything? Like I'm already gonna leave in like a couple months, so there's no point in doing anything. And like I've heard about this other band that's also starting like in like a similar way, like at a similar time. The difference is that it's being started by like I think freshmen or sophomores or something.
Haven?
No, it's like another one.
Haven't heard about it.
Yeah. Anyways, like they're starting this, but the difference is that they actually have time. Like they have like this small part of the year, and then like 2 more years to figure this shit out. So they might actually get to do something.
Yeah. That's another like issue, and something I like something I like blame myself for. I didn't like freshman year and sophomore year. I was so like caught up in like a lot of self and personal things that like I never really did a lot of stuff that was just out there. Sophomore year was just the drama club stuff, and then next year was just gonna be that. And then like most of the year, I was just caught up with just stuff that didn't really like. I wouldn't say matter, but it wasn't. It just wasn't out there. And like I only started that like mid junior year when like the first walkout happened, the second walkout when we went to the district office. That's kind of where it started. It came from, yeah, it was just like, it was just me having to speak last. I was just like, I didn't even like plan it. I was just like, why not? Went up there without a script, and I just like, I don't know, it just felt great speaking out. And then even in the board meeting, it felt pretty good. And that's when I like started doing more things, clubs, this and that, and like appreciating things a bit more. And then, well, senior year started, I had all these plans, and now it's like the strike happened, protests kept happening, and I was caught up with my own stuff again. And then I began the podcast and started like doing new things. So yeah, now I have that like mentality of like, okay, I really want to like do things here, but I have no more time anymore because we're out of here soon. Which was why I started the podcast like way earlier. I think February, was it?
I don't know.
I believe February. Yeah, February. Yeah, it was like the last day of February. I was just like, I don't know, because I was planning it like way later, but then I was like, if I do it later, then I'm never gonna probably do it. So here we are. But yeah, just wish I, did more stuff, because like I even see the juniors and even some of the sophomores, they're more out there and they know the teachers more better than I do. And I'm like, well, I've been here for 4 years and I'm not like at that level. And then there's this like one freshman that works at the Fab Lab with me, and he knows like a lot of things. And I'm like, wow, that's like, why? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's always just been issues within issues for the last like 3 years, and even like now, there's always been something that came up. Don't know if that's just excuses or I'm not sure, but
yeah, I mean, we all have different experiences, right? And I think that that's why like funding schools should be a priority, so that you all have a better experience, right? Than and it could have the same experience that former students had, right? Or even better, right? Like I remember like back in the day when I was in high school, right? Like my high school experience was very different than my peers, because I was just coming into the country, didn't know any English, so I was in like shelter classes, right? People would make fun of me because I didn't know how to speak English. Like even my teachers would like make fun of my name, right? Like a teacher will like call me Nayeli, and like my classmates will correct him and tell him that my name was Nayeli, and he will still call me Nayeli, right? Like and like my experience was different. However, like I felt like I had options, right? Like I could take a ceramics class, or like my friends could do an automotive class where they learn how to fix a vehicle, right? Basic stuff. They had plenty of AP classes, honor classes, yes, I was very ambitious and I really wanted to take an AP US history class, actually. And like my teacher was like, no, I don't think you can do it. You still haven't like learned the language, so you not even try, like you can't kind of thing, right? Like but even then, like I felt like I had options, right? And then I hope that like that is my wish, right? Like you guys, like your class, right? You started with some after school programs, and then they like were cut down until like you had none, right? Like electives or APs. We don't even have honor classes here, right? And it's because of the lack of support, right? And we're going back to what I said about like what's the long-term fix to increase enrollment? Well, you increase enrollment by providing options, by giving after-school programs, by looking at like what options is my kid gonna get so that they can become a competitive student when they're applying to college, or like, or a career path, et cetera, right? And it's unfortunate that you guys didn't get that. Right, and it's not because of your fault. It's because of the system. And again, like, this is a very systematic problem that we have, right? And it may not be like a lack of effort from people. It's just the system is broken, very, very broken. Like, the district has allowed the system to break farther and farther as we move along, right? And like, it's now they're having a hard time fixing the system, and you guys are the ones who are suffering those consequences, right? And it's very unfortunate. Now, going back, just want to go back to what you said about the 2 leadership classes, right? Originally, it was only supposed to be 1 class, right? And as I mentioned earlier, like 2 or 3 days before class started, like, they're like, oh, we're gonna need another one, like, to like filling the classes, et cetera, right? Like, that's how they put the college and career class too for me, right? And I was advised by a lot of people not to do that, right? But again, like, I felt like I needed to be a team player and like, do what was
asked of you.
So that's how we ended up with 2 classes, right? And once we started with 2 classes, like, the idea was for 7th period, like, it was they were like primarily like students who had already done leadership before, was to be the main, like, not the main, but the class that would plan and bringing in 4th period to execute a lot of those things, right? And unfortunately, it hasn't felt that way, right? And like, because it was very hard with communication. Right? Like, bringing in, okay, so 7th period is going to do this, 4th period, you guys need to do that. Like, it was very hard to communicate those things. So then I was like, well, what if 4th period focuses on certain events and we add things that we haven't done in the past, like senior nights, right? Like, making posters for senior nights, making posters for like Bader, for example, doing the toy toy giveaway, excuse me. That was something that y'all put together, and like 7th period just came in and showed up to support the day off, right? And unfortunately, right, like, even in 7th period, sometimes there seems like times where we have nothing to do, and there are times where we're like rushing to get everything done, right? And I think that like, I take full ownership and responsibility and accountability for like that, and I feel very, very bad that like people are having different experiences with the class, right? And I am so sorry about that, right? Like, I've felt like I've tried my best, but there's always room for improvement. And like, that was my fear about taking leadership, that I was like, I don't know how, because when I take on something, I'm like, okay, so perfect, this has been working. Like, how can I make it better, right? Like, even like with anything that I do with in my personal life or career wise, right? Like, how do I improve this, right? And like, Miss Avendaño had done a fantastic job for the last 3 years, right? I was like, when I was asked to take on the class, I was like, I don't know, like, I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to
live up to the expectations.
Exactly. Right. And it has been hard, right? And that was my fear. And then I was like, also, well, like, the I'm gonna say this in Spanish, el mundo no se hizo en un día, right? Like, things don't happen like immediately, right? And I was like, well, next year, like, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, right? Like, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. But now I'm seeing there is no next year for me, right? So like, again, like, I am trying, right? Like, my intention was to like ensure that to like do more visibility and like more things. It hasn't gone that way, unfortunately, right? And again, I'm sorry about that, right? And like genuinely sorry. And like, you know, like just hope that, you know, when we finish this fourth quarter with the rest of the events, like y'all can like feel a sense of ownership for the things that you guys are gonna be doing, right? And that's why I'm like, sometimes I'm like, okay, your group does this, your group does that, your group does that, so that y'all can like feel like you accomplished something. So yeah.
And that's like, oh my god, it brought up like a lot of things in my head. But yeah, like that thing of like this is your first year, like, yeah, I mean, you've been doing like pretty great, because like, to be fair, could have been worse. And everything is functioning. We're not losing leadership, so I feel like, yeah, there's that. But then there's also the like what I mentioned with the separation thing. Like, I don't know if this is more of the like human side of things, or I don't know if it's just like people don't like each other, but there's grudges for like, some people don't like this person from that class, or that person doesn't like this, or they don't like certain teachers. And I mean, I'm not one of those people to like hold grudges, especially if I'm not like if someone has an issue with me, I always I don't want to have an issue with anyone. So like, if I have like an issue with something, I always ask about it, or if they have an issue with me, I always ask about it if I'm able to. And I wish I wish everyone was like that, not like, oh, I don't like that person, I'm not going to talk to them. Like, I wish they could be like, I wonder why they're that way, or like have like a good conversation with them.
Assume positive intent, right? Sometimes, yeah.
And, you know, sometimes like, I think I mentioned this like last episode. There's a lot of stuff I keep mentioning, like previous things, but students, like, they don't like their teachers because, oh my god, they give me too much work, or they don't let me use my phone in class, or it's like the small things. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like, understand this is still like a school. Because most people, and most of the time it's not like excessive work, they just don't like doing it. Not for like, even for like a grade, they're like, you know, screw it, and I'll just do whatever, like. And I'm like, well, like, but why? Like, I get it, you don't like them, but like, at least try, or at least have that like mentality that even though this is a good community and a good place to be at, it's still a school. We still got an obligation to do certain things. At the end of the day, though, like, if you fail, that's basically on you. Like, and at times, I mean, I don't know. I don't have any like hate against any teachers, but I've heard like some like things people don't like about certain teachers, especially the new ones. Like, I'm not sure exactly why, because I just hear like, oh, I don't like that teacher because they're this way or that way. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, that's like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, why are they that way? Let me go talk to them. But then, I don't know, they're just like, oh, I don't like that teacher, I don't like that teacher, I don't like that teacher. And I mean, I understand sometimes, because I was in that position at some point, but then I eventually just was like, why have grudges against people that like don't have a grudge against you? Like, they're just trying to do their job, or they're just trying to be a good person, or they're just a certain way that you don't like, but it's not killing you. So like, yeah. It's not killing you.
Yeah, also, like, my thing is like, why can't everybody just pretend to like each other? Like, I think this happened like a couple months ago. Like I was talking to somebody. I honestly don't remember who it was. Anyways, then my sister was just like, yeah, no, that person doesn't fuck with you. You know. Or like, they just don't like you at all, and it's like, I didn't notice. I honestly don't care. Like can people like at least like pretend to like each other? Like,
Yeah, I think like we sometimes it's like, okay, I don't appreciate that person, right? But you don't like my point of view is like, you don't live with them, right? Like you can just be cordial, right? And respect how people like maybe act, as long as they're not disrespectful towards you. Like, how is that gonna affect you, right? And I think that I don't know, like we're living in a very individualistic world, and I think that sometimes like we're losing that sense of community, right? Being united, and like and also like I don't know, like I personally, like I'm struggling with this with my own children, right? Like when it comes to like, oh, like you just said something like, oh, students feel like the teacher's giving them too much work, and they don't want to, like it's just too much, right? But then when you go to work, when you have to work and like work to make money, if your boss is giving you too much work, what are you gonna do, right? You're gonna do it, and sometimes the answer from students is like, well, I'm not getting paid for this homework. I'm like, but you're getting a great grade, right? Which is something that you will need to graduate, right? Like you're still getting something in for your work. And like I think that I'm seeing this with my own children sometimes too, like finding that like silver lining of being a gentle parent, but also being like firm with them, right? Like for example, yesterday my son is practicing baseball, right? He's in a baseball team, and like he didn't want to do it, but I was like, you kind of have to do something, right? Like you just can't come to home from school and like sit down on the couch and not do anything, right? Like he was unfortunately hit by a ball, and it hit like this part of his face, right? Like his eye kind of like area, and he was like, I want to give up. I don't want to practice anymore. I want to go home. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I understand that you may be feeling uncomfortable, and you may have some pain, but let's see how it plays in like 10 minutes. He's like, no, I'm probably gonna feel better after. Sorry. He's like, I'm not gonna feel better until practice is over. Like, kind of like wanting to leave, and I was like, mijo, like, obviously I didn't want to escalate the situation because he was feeling very emotional, right? And like I try to like encourage him to go back, and then he comes, like he was in the field, was about to like start batting, and he's like, I am so afraid of the ball. I'm like, puppy, like it's part of the game, right? Like you got this, like don't let this fear like take over you, right? And then I stepped away because I know that maybe like if I'm there, he's gonna feel more like emotional kind of thing, right? So I kind of like went behind the place, and then when we were driving home, I was like, like I really try to be patient, but I also like want you to be a resilient human being, right? Where there are gonna be setbacks, right? And like there are gonna be a lot of setbacks, and like life is, I'm not always gonna be there for you, right? I'm not always gonna be sheltering you, and I'm not always gonna be able to like protect you from things. And like I am raising a brown boy who is unfortunately going to be facing a lot of things in the real world, right? And like I will be doing a disservice to you as a mom if I were to like shelter you all the time. I love you and I adore you, and I wish that you will never have any hardships the way that I did as an immigrant, undocumented immigrant, as a woman coming into a new country, new culture, new language, new everything, right? Like I faced a lot of uncertainty, but I will be doing a disservice to you if I'm not preparing you for the real life.
Yeah.
Right? And like that's something that I'm like, I kind of like have to give him tough love, right? And like I think that that's something that a lot of like kids like still don't understand, that like life is, like this is like right now you guys have been in school your whole life where everything has been planned for y'all, right? Like, but you're coming to a point where you're gonna have to do things on your own, whether it's college or career or whatever. Like, mom and dad can't be part of that anymore. Legally, they can't, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they can support you and can give you like housing and things like that, but they can't call the counselor at your school, at your college, and say, "How is my mijo doing?" or "My mija doing?" Because the counselor is not going to be giving you any of that information, because under FERPA, they can't.
Yeah.
Right? Your data is protected. So, like, again, going back to sometimes, youth feeling like, oh, it's too much. I'm like, okay, so, but what happens after? What happens after you're out of high school, out of, in the real world, right? And, like, I think that that's something, like, a reality that it's going to be hard when it comes to that, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I tend to bring in my kids a lot.
That's completely fine. Well, yeah, there's that of like just having to deal with it, like whatever the issue is. It won't kill you to like just try to get through it. But then there's the people like either they just well more like it gets to that point where there is something that's like really, really bothering you, or people are in like certain ways that you don't like, but instead of doing anything, they just talk shit and like skip class
or make the situation bigger, right?
That too. And I always feel like even if I have like an issue with anyone, which I like in terms of teachers, I don't like I did for like way back then, like I'd be like, oh, this teacher's this certain way, but then over time I was just like, they're just trying to get by, like as much as we are. And for those that like do like a little too much, like there's this certain way or that certain way, like if you don't like it, say something. Like it may, most of the times it won't change them, but it will let them know that like you don't like them being this certain way. And if they don't understand, if they still like continue with the certain way they are, then like that's a whole different situation. But like if you don't like something, like tell them, because like at times you can't, but like these are teachers, these are people. Like if you don't like when someone's this certain way, you can tell them and they'll try to not be that way. Or my kind of I wouldn't really say my favorite, but like my like better way of like seeing things is understand why they are that way. Like maybe like people don't like it, people don't this, people don't that, but they're this way because of whatever it is. Like maybe they just grew up a certain way, maybe they just
or maybe they didn't even realize it, right? Like sometimes you do or say things that you're like, oops, I'm so sorry, like legitimately didn't realize that. And like I have a message for y'all, like if you guys don't like something about me, just tell me. Like I appreciate it more when people come up to me and tell me, hey, you said something that bothered me. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that bothered you, I'm so sorry, right? Like I'm gonna work on myself and be better at like ensuring that like I don't do that again, right? And like sometimes people do appreciate you being honest about like a situation instead of like holding on those like bad feelings and like coming to a point that you just like boom explode and becomes worse, right? And so totally like self-advocacy is important, and honesty too, right? Like we're going back to how going back to the bigger picture here, right? Too, with how sometimes we feel like the district is not being honest and transparent, right? Like it sucks, right? That you feel left out. And going back to your personal life, like you can definitely apply those things to your own very personal life too.
Something I'd like to add is that I think people should try to put like acceptance and tolerance like in like the same group, because like there's no real difference. The only difference that acceptance is like well I'm gonna try to like this tolerance is just, I don't like this, but I'm just gonna have to deal with it. And that's the thing I do with like a lot of people. Like, I genuinely don't like many people, but it's like, they're cool sometimes. You know, there's some things that I can honestly say that they have good qualities. Like, yes.
Yeah, and
Like-
of course, tolerance. There should be a limit, right? Like you shouldn't tolerate like disrespect or people like being mean to you, right?
Yeah.
But you should also be tolerant to like if they're not doing any harm, right? Yeah.
I think it even like falls back into the whole situations with relationships nowadays. Like they like certain things, or you're benefiting from this person and they're being a certain way, but because of this one thing that's like no. At times it's understandable, but like sometimes it's like what the heck. Or sometimes people do a little too much. Sometimes I do understand, like some people don't like this, like they like all this but they don't like that one thing, and because of that one thing they're like, I don't know. And that certain thing, but like just like in general, like because of that one thing I don't feel like someone should hate something. It even goes with like opinions, different like views of the world, that sort of thing. Like if people are one thing, and like at least if they don't like revolve their life around it, or they don't like exactly they don't, how do I put this, you don't always have to agree with someone for them to be your friend or anything. Like, and honestly, it makes for better, better conversations, better life. Like if you lived in a world where everyone was like, yeah, this is this and this and this, and like just following like one thing at all times, and no one was against anyone about anything, then that would be a pretty boring world. Because like what the heck, like I don't know, some people would prefer that. I just like hearing different opinions.
Yeah. Like, the big thing is that it just seems like so many people just think one way that to everybody else looking at it, like it just seems so unlogical, like really insane. But it's just like, they're not really doing anything. They're just saying all this, so I guess I'll tolerate it.
Yeah.
I'm like, should they change? Yeah, but I'm not gonna do anything to change them. Like the way I see it, if I have to get like actually involved in something, that's when like something went way too far. Because I don't usually do anything, so like my involvement really just proves that shit's really just hit the fan. Yeah.
So like trying to go for like senior president, then that's like what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I would have done better too.
I mean, honestly, like, I mean, like, even the treasurer, Hernandez, says like you probably would have done nothing because of what you said. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. Like, I'm okay with Elias. Like, he seems okay, but it's like,
like
he can really be doing better.
like for instance, he could be showing up to school.
Yeah.
Like, I'm real, like, there like been weeks where I just haven't seen him like in class. I've seen him around school, like he's probably doing something else.
Yeah.
But like I just haven't seen him in class. But like I haven't heard him complain about his grades, so I guess he's just doing all his homework and everything. So I guess that's fine. Like, there was this one time that like Annie was just going around being like, "Yo, have you seen Elias? Like, I need him to sign something for."
Yeah. That was
and it's like,
2 weeks.
and then I started to question, okay, so he's not here. What's the vice president gonna do? Like, for what does the vice president do?
I mean, I haven't seen
Like-
much.
Like, I've asked Hari about this, and she just said she doesn't do anything. So, like, what was the point of that?
I'm not sure. Even I was trying to run for vice, but I mean, like midway, I kind of just like gave up because, for one, I didn't want like a lot of the choices to fall upon me because I'm very
choices?
like. I mean, I know most of the choices is like mainly finalized by presidents, but if I was vice, I would have most likely been more involved in like everything. But knowing how everyone's like opinion is and how, I mean, I don't know why. For me, I like deeply care about like how people are gonna feel, and I really don't like when my choices make people feel, you know, negative in any sort of way.
I don't.
Oh yeah, clearly. I mean, I like at times unless like you know freaking how do I put this? Unless I really like see no reason why you're gonna respect me, then that's when I'm like, okay, whatever. Like you choose you. But you know, at the same time, it's like, okay, like I care about it sometimes. But yeah. Bell's about to ring. Might as well cut it short. So yeah. Well, thank you, Ms. Hernandez, for popping by and hearing our little rants. Well, you rant as well.
Thank you all
Yeah.
so much.
I'm hoping, like, either we get to do this again, like, some other day, like, because I want to do repeats with teachers and do more with other teachers. I'm hoping next year someone can pick this up, but I'm having my doubts.
Oh yeah, speaking of that, we're gonna be holding tryouts for new hosts at some point, probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably gonna get them on here and interview them or something.
Yeah, but we'll see. We still need to get students on this.
Yeah, we'll send out a Google form. So
Google form.
yeah.
All right, perfect.
Ready.
All right, well, yeah, this has been the Kennedy podcast. Hoping I can get some clips out there, but yeah. Thank you for watching, and yep, see y'all next time.
Bye, y'all.
What's up, guys? It's President Barack Obama, and I'm here to tell you that I learned how to beatbox. We got
You got that shit.
Okay.